There's a phrase in my profession of genus loci, and it really means sense of place. And each piece of land has that. And so it's taking the time to find the voice of the land and then understanding the lifestyle needs and the sensibilities of the client and putting those together. The landscape design is different from interior design in that the landscape designer is primarily working with change and variables, whereas an interior designer is primarily working with specifics. So the landscape designer needs to take in the horticultural requirements, the climatic needs, and the fact that the garden planted is going to change and move and grow according to the light and food and care that it takes. So the hand of the person caring for the garden is also a factor. And I would say that the evolution of the design over time for an exterior designer is a somewhat different process than an interior designer, but it's similar in that trees are our architecture, flowers and plants are our fabrics, and that we both need to understand our clients and the flow of the property and the lifestyle needs of the client. I always love large heritage oaks. So what an oak can do for a space is really transformative. I like crepe myrtle. There's a white crepe myrtle natchez that has a beautiful multi-trunk cinnamon bark, white blossom, and then spectacular autumn foliage. So it's always beautiful. When the leaves drop, it's a sculpture, and at every time of year, it's really spectacular. I like the fluidity of gaura and grasses, Japanese anemones, and plants that have verticality and movement. So I'm interested at the moment in plants that don't need a lot of trimming or shaping, that will naturally grow into maturity and can be left to do what they want to do. I think that roses are classic, and there are some roses that can be brought into Southern California gardens that are surprisingly durable, particularly heritage roses. Rugosas, noisettes, and hybrid musks all seem to adapt. There are a handful of shrubs that are just absolutely timeless, that work in contemporary and classical gardens and give a range of deep greens, blue greens, silvery olives, sort of celadons to the landscaping. I think that garden spaces can be, that beautiful garden spaces can be achieved at any scale. So sometimes the smallest courtyard can be just a little jewel of a garden space that has fragrance, shade, and a place to sort of sit and unwind. So I think a smaller space requires more vertical layering, but it can absolutely be very complete and an absolute respite.